Let's start by talking about what a solid is, and all of these shapes right here can be considered solid. We basically mean a three-dimensional object. 3 dimensions. Okay, a face is, well, let me give you an example of a face. This right here is a face. There's one of them. This right here is a face on this side. On the top, the yellow, that's also a face. I guess there's 6 different faces to that object. Here, that's a face on top. That's a face on bottom. You've got another face here on the side. Lots of different faces. Okay, edges. Well, edges are sides like this. Okay, so that's an edge. Okay, it's where 2 faces meet. So 2 faces meet. So that's an edge. And that's an edge. And that's an edge. Okay, now let's do vertices, or a vertex. A vertex is where, hold on, this is edge right there. So a vertex is where 2 edges meet. Okay, so it's these points right here, that's a vertex. That's a vertex. Look at all these vertices right here. See all these? They're all vertices. Okay, now a prism. A prism is a solid or a 3-dimensional object that has 2 congruent parallel faces. And if you look at the yellow here, see that that is exactly the same as this yellow face right here, and they're also parallel to each other. And that's what makes a prism. We have the same thing here. If you look at the yellow shapes in that triangular prism, they are parallel and congruent. Same right here in this hexagonal prism. 2 parallel congruent faces. A cylinder, well, you should all know what a cylinder looks like by now. That's a cylinder. It's kind of like a prism, except the faces are circles like this. So, like a can of soup, that's a cylinder. Pyramids have a base. It could be all sorts of different shapes for the base. But from the base, there is a single vertex at the top where each point from the base comes up and meets at a single point. Cones, you all know what ice cream cones look like, so there are the cones. And then a cube is basically, don't call this a square, this is a cube. And a cube is kind of made up of lots of squares where each edge is exactly the same size. So all of these edges are exactly the same length. Okay, so classify each figure and then name the vertices, edges, and bases. So this right here is a hexagonal pyramid. Hexagonal pyramid. And it's not a prism because it doesn't have 2 congruent bases that are parallel to each other. So if we're going to name the vertices, we would say, well, A, B, C, all the way to D, E, F, G. See all those? Those are all the vertices. If we're going to name the edges, we would start right here. So that's AB. That's one edge. Another edge would be BC. And you keep following that all the way around here. I'm not going to list them all, but you can see there's 6 there, right? But there's also edges here. See these ones here coming to the top? So AG. Is there another one? Well, there's another one right here. So BG. There's another one. There's another 6 of those. And then bases. Well, if you look at the base, I've kind of drawn all over this shape now. But you should see that the base is that yellow shape, and it's hexagon, hexagon, A, B, C, D, E, F. And that's the base. Okay, what about this one over here? Let's do number 2 now. Name the figure. Well, that's a cylinder. Cylinder. It doesn't have any vertices. It doesn't have any sides that come up and meet together. Edges, doesn't even have any edges. but it does have bases, and these right here are the bases. So the base would be circle Q and then circle P. It's hard to see those letters because I just drew all over them. A net, you've seen nets before. A net is a two-dimensional figure that can be folded to create a three-dimensional figure. So looking at number 1 here, you're going to be given this on the test and asked what three-dimensional figure does this make? And if you fold up these corners kind of up towards you, you'll see that this makes a triangular pyramid. What about number 2 here? Well, this one looks like it's going to be a cone, and this is kind of a famous one. If you fold all these edges up, you will end up with a cube. Alright, cross sections. So here we have a cylinder. Look at number 1 here. And we have this cylinder, and you can see this strange, it's almost like someone's taking a saw and cutting out a piece. And the cross section is this right here, so I'm going to try and shade that so you can see. And you're going to be asked, what is the shape of the cross section there? And that shape is a rectangle. Now, what would happen if you took a horizontal cross-section here? What shape would you get? And you wouldn't get a rectangle here, you would actually get a circle, because if you took that horizontal slice, you can see that you would end up with that circle. And on this one, I hope you can see that this right here is going to give you a slice that will form a triangle.